Well, this is the San Diego Investment Club. So if you're not here for that, you're probably in the wrong room. You might want to go to another room. If you are, then you guys are in for a treat. We've got a lot of things to cover tonight. We're going to kind of get through as fast as we can. Our main speaker, Daren Blomquist, he's going to give you a lot of data and a lot of stuff to go on. So let's get started right away. As people trickle in, that's okay. Well, that's it. So, as you guys probably already know, come early for the networking. We network in the bar in the beginning, and then we network in the bar as well afterwards. So a lot of deals are created right here in this room. We meet on the first Thursday of every month, so mark your calendars. Come back every month. We get new speakers and new information we get. Bring some friends. Again, this is a great place to learn and grow. If you don't have a team, you can find your team here as well. And tonight, we have a special guest, Daren Blomquist, as I just said, finding the hottest deals on and off market. So before we get started, I do have to give a disclosure. We're real estate investors, just like most of you in the room, and we're not tax advisors, we're not attorneys, we're not legal professionals, financial advisors. Again, we're just real estate investors. So if there's any documents you guys have or anything you're doing, just make sure that it's yours, read them.
Basically, everything we present here is examples, and it boils down to we are responsible for nothing. You are responsible for everything. So just do your due diligence, take care of yourself.
So we'd like to also find out who's in the room. So as I go through this list, if this is what you guys do, go ahead and raise your hand, and so everybody can kind of get an idea of who's in the room here. So I'm going to run through this real quick. Anybody here, escrow companies? Home inspectors, stagers, contractors.
There we go.
A contractor back here. You guys need a contractor? There he is. Any appraisers, property managers, any notaries, private lenders. Whoa, there goes my hands. Private lenders, self-directed IRA representatives. We got a couple here. Attorneys. Anybody that does marketing companies to help your business. Financial advisors, real estate agents, real estate agents that work with investors.
Yeah.
Great, exclusive. So let's see, financial advisors in the room, real estate agents, we already said, mortgage brokers, CP, the mortgage broker right here. You guys need loans, right here. CPAs.
There we go.
Well, CPAs, we always need good accountants. Title reps, and past speakers as well. And then anybody that I may have forgotten, call it out real quick.
What's it called?
Architects.
Actually that's good because spec homes are a big thing right now, new builds. Using a lot of architects.
I'll try to remember that, I'll put that on the slide.
Who else wants a shout out? Add your room.
Interior designer.
There you go, interior design.
Fantastic.
Yeah, especially high-end homes are kind of a place where it's at now too. And we'll bring in interior designers even eventually.
So part of real estate investors, I heard wholesalers. Okay, there's some wholesalers in the room as well. So great. Who knows who Imran and I are? Who's heard us before?
Who's coming here for the first time?
The first timers.
Oh, awesome.
Fantastic. You guys are in here pretty welcome. We really appreciate it. I'm Daren Blomquist.
Imran Clark.
We do a lot of different things. Creative deal structuring. We work with a lot of people in the room, or have worked with people in the room. We do partnerships. We put other people's money to work. We fix and flip. We buy and hold. We build spec homes. We do subject twos, and the list can go on and on and on.
Basically, whatever works.
Right. So, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself?
Okay.
There are a lot of new people in here.
Yeah, so real quick, just tell a little bit about our background, so probably identify different people in here. So my background, I went the route of, get a good education, get a lot of education, then get a good job, go for the security. So I went and got my PhD in bioscience, ended up in San Diego.
I got my PhD. Public high school diploma.
And now here I am flipping houses, right? So I found out that the job, all the school, the job really wasn't that secure. Didn't like working for somebody else. I went through 3 jobs in 4 years with a PhD in biotech, so that's when the fire lit under my ass. Let me do my own thing. So there's a lot of struggle, a lot of process that went through that, but now ended up, here we are, very successful. It took years, but if you're there and you want to be here, it can be done. So that was the path I took.
It can't be done overnight. It's going to take some time and some struggle, like myself. 6 years ago, wanted to get into real estate investing because I knew it was a path to wealth. And how did I know that? Books I've read. And once I got the bug, I focused so hard. I was so determined. I had such a big desire to get this done, be wealthy in real estate, so much so that I actually went homeless chasing this dream. And as a result of not giving up and not going back to a job.
It was worse than homeless. It was homeless with your mother-in-law. I think that's another thing. So talk about lighting a fire in your ass. That got me going as well. So luckily, while searching for what we were wanting to do, we met through education and through networking groups like this. And we decided to partner up, put our heads together, and we are here where we are now because of it. So bottom line, don't give up, have that strong desire, and it's really your why, find your why. It's mindset.
Mindset. So tonight, what to expect, we're going to meet our sponsors. We couldn't do this without them, we couldn't do this without you guys either. Ted's Tech Talk, have you ever heard Ted talk? He's amazing. He's got some great information for you. They'll run through a few slides of the market updates. How many of you have noticed a little slight change in the market in the last month or two? Okay, it's definitely changing. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Then we're going to go into a little bit of mindset training, and we're going to talk about a little bit about excerpts and stuff from the Think and Grow Rich book. So who's read Think and Grow Rich? Okay, that's a lot. That's great.
Yeah.
So those who haven't, you're going to understand why you should.
Yeah, and for those of you that have, reread it.
Reread it, right? Deal profile. We're going to talk about a deal or two that we've recently done, and then we're going to bring Daren up. We're going to wrap up and then go back to the bar and do some more networking. So it should work out great. And right now, I'm going to invite our sponsors up. They're going to come talk about 30 seconds, give a quick commercial about each what they do, and hopefully you can start building your team with the start of these guys. So I don't have a slide for each one of them, so come on up, guys. So these are actually some of our sponsors. This is us right here. I wouldn't say we sponsor, but we're hosting it. Hi, Brian.
Hi, I'm Brian Davis with AccuPlan. I do self-directed IRAs and 401ks. How many of you folks here are self-employed? Good number of you. How many of you guys have a solo 401k plan? All right, you need to talk to me if you want to learn how to set aside up to $114,000 a year. I'd like to write that off your taxes. And I can show you how to do it with no annual fee. So come talk to me, Brian Davis with AccuPlan. I have flyers and cards in the back. And I can tell you how to do a checkbook IRAs and solo 401ks. Thanks.
Thank you, Brian. David, it's been a while. How you doing?
David Weiner with Trillion Capital. I'd like to thank Brian for setting up my solo 401k. Our money lender, Trillion Capital, we lend primarily to fix and flip, and now we're starting to do some new home construction, 1, 2 single-family homes at a time, doing some infill redevelopment. So, we tend to lend at a little bit higher leverage than a lot of the other hard money lenders at real competitive rates, and real easy to work with. And give us a try, give me a call, and grab my information off the back table. 3 things to remember about us: we're fast, reliable, and competitively priced.
All right, thank you. Diane, you are next.
Hi. Those of you who've been here before, you know what I say every time. I say, I'm a real estate investor, I'm a realtor only for investors, and that's true. The market is changing, and frankly, it scares me. A lot of you guys I work for, a lot of you guys I find stuff for, and that stuff in the middle, that, up to 700 or so, the prices are so unsteady that it's getting kind of scary. The area that I have found, and I've been working on for a while, that does have the numbers in it, that has the spread, is the upper end. La Jolla, Del Mar, places like that. So if you're a flipper and you've got the guts to do that, and you've done it before, you know what you're getting into. I do have products like that. There is a spread left. Love to represent you. I can help you, let me know.
Thanks,
There we go.
Diane. Appreciate it.
We do the upper end, Diane.
There you go.
Yeah, we'll do upper end. We'll do anything that makes money.
Yeah.
Well, welcome.
How you doing?
Good, how are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you. If you want to raise capital with friends and family and colleagues, I can work with you and be a coach and a team member with you. I represent IRA Services Trust, but I am an educator and I'm a facilitator, so I work one-on-one with you and your clients. So,
Name and phone number.
okay, Belinda Savage, 480-239-5539, and the fees for the year are $136, and we do funding within 48 hours. Okay.
Fantastic, thank you. Okay, welcome, good to see you.
Good to see you as well. My name is Barack Vandenberg. I'm with Talamar Financial. We're right in the middle of that screen right there. We are a hard money lender. We specialize in financing fix and flips, residential income property, and commercial real estate. As a hard money lender, we're a direct lender. That means that I am lending you money out of my back pocket, which means I'm fast. I can provide you very aggressive pricing. Please give me a call. My number is 858-613-0111. Let me do that number one more time. It's 858-613-0111, extension 1. And that's again, Talamar Financial. Take a look at our website. Thank you.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate it. All right, let's put it for our sponsors. Thank you. And, Diane, did you give your phone number?
I did, but I put a stack of cards right in the back.
There you go. Her cards will be in the back for you guys. Up next, he's a longtime speaker here. His name's Ted Percasa, and he's going to talk a little bit about Google Docs and what they can do for your business. So we like to bring him up every month because he's got a little bit of information that goes a long way. And I think everything that we do here, especially with Google, it's all free stuff. So fantastic. Here you go.
All right. Thank you. Good evening. All right. So I'm going to talk about Google Docs a little bit tonight. What is Google Docs? So Google Docs is free office software provided by Google. So think about your Microsoft Word, your Microsoft Excel, those sorts of things. Google gives those to you for free. I was really hesitant about moving too quickly towards Google Docs because I really like those Microsoft products. I've used them forever. They're really stable. They work really well. I have slowly moved over to Google Docs, and I'll give you one real-life example which all of you can relate to, and that's meetings. So where this becomes really indispensable for me is with the various types of meetings that I do. And I'll go through and kind of show you how that works. So first of all, the Google Docs works with any device. So you start with your computer, you create a new document, you go through the browser. As long as you have your username and password, you can go from any computer and log into your Word document or your Excel file. They also have free apps for your cell phone or for your tablet. So I used to, and I still use this kind of, if you guys have heard me talk before, I use Dropbox to sync all of my documents with all of my devices. And this is very similar to Dropbox. Google Docs is starting to replace several different pieces of software that I pay for. Dropbox is one. I'm actually contemplating dropping Dropbox. Microsoft Office is another. I'm not contemplating dropping it. And then GoToMeeting is one. So, and I'll show you why I'm thinking that. So the first thing about it is you can share really easily. And it allows you to control who you share with and how you share. So I can make a spreadsheet or a Word document, and I can make it public to anybody. Or I can make it private, or I can choose who specifically I want to see it. And then I can choose how they can see it. So I can say, one of you can just view it. I don't want you to edit it, I don't want you to mess it up. But I could say, somebody over here, you can edit it. Do anything that you want, and somebody in the middle, I can say, you can view it and you can make comments. So it gives you that control. Who gets to see your documents and what they can do with your documents. And it's really easy. The thing that's really great about Google, the thing that I really like about Google is they make things easy. If Google wasn't around, it'd be so much harder to find stuff, right? So their secret is, and I've learned a lot of what I do is in the search business. People aren't smarter about how they search. Google's smarter about how they serve people what they're searching for. And that's kind of what they do really well. They make it super easy. So if you want to share a document, you click share, you click invite people, and you type their name in like you would an email. So if you know how to send an email, you're pretty close to knowing how to share a Google document. It's really simple. The next thing is collaboration. Now this is where it starts to really excel, and this is why I use the examples of meetings. So now you can have multiple people in the document at the exact same time. You can have multiple people editing the document at the exact same time, and all those people don't even have to be in the same room. So you can have a phone conference, you can have a meeting, and you can have everybody working on the document. So here's kind of what it looks like, and I'm sorry it's a little bit blurry. But when you open up a Google document, so let's say we're creating an agenda for a meeting. I would create the agenda, and then I would invite people to the meeting. And I'll tell people in the email, because it sends an email, I'll say, here's my agenda. If you have anything to add to the agenda, just add it to the agenda. Everybody can work on the exact same documents. Okay? And as I'm in the agenda, when I get to the meeting, and here's how you basically go to meeting. Oftentimes when you're in a meeting, all you need to do is stare at a Word document or something like that, right? So you don't need to, for those meetings where you're going to just get in there and talk about your agenda on a Word document, all you need is this Google Doc. Everybody can log in. You get on the phone, you're looking at the exact same thing. When you're logged into the document, you can see these little colors here. They're red, blue, and green. If you wave over, you can see who it is. And then here, you can see the cursors. And what that represents is where the people are. So I can see that Mike is reading that piece. I can see that Joe is typing right there. And you can see this all going on at the exact same time. So it's really efficient, it's really effective, and it beats the old way where you used to send a Word document around, and then the people would send it back and try to figure out who made changes to what. So it's live. So again, what this replaces is 3 pieces of software in this meeting scenario. 1, I didn't have to use Dropbox because Google hosted it for me. 2, I didn't have to use GoToMeeting because we just get on and we look at this together. And 3, I didn't have to use Microsoft Office because I got this free software. So I'm moving that direction. You have a question?
I have a question. When you're editing,
Yes.
does each person's edit appear in a different color? And as you edit, is it all saved? So if 2 people are editing the document at the same time,
Yes.
does that then become the next iteration of the document?
No, it doesn't iterate the whole document. It iterates that specific edit right there. And yes, you can see the people editing. If Mike logged in and he turned red in the beginning, then Mike will be red down here. And you can see Mike, his name pops up, and you can see the red cursor moving. You can see what Mike is typing. In the background, I don't want to get too detailed here, but it keeps a track record of what's going on. So it shows that Mike deleted that word at that time. And you can go backwards to 5 minutes ago or 5 days ago and go back to that specific edit. So you don't have to worry about the conflicts. It's all happening live, and it's really easy. That's really simple. And you've really got to try this. This does a lot more than what I'm showing you here. But if you just do this, and you have to get in, log in with multiple people, use it in a real live conversation, and then you'll get it. So my mission today is to get you guys to try that, and then you'll be open to a whole bunch of other benefits that Google Docs provides. The benefits are humongous. I don't want to get into all of them. Again, we use cloud backup, device syncing to get all of your devices synced together, offline editing. I haven't quite mastered how to do the offline editing, so that if you're on an airplane, you can do this. And I don't know exactly, so that might be part of what your question was I haven't mastered all of the intricacies of how that might work. You can do surveys, there's a programming interface, there's a ton to it. They're a massive software company, and their software is really, really solid. In summary, it's free software. It works really great. It's super, super easy to use. You can share it, you control how you share it. You can collaborate and work together. You can sync all your devices, your iPad, your iPhone, your computer, and then you get 15 gigs of storage for free. You open up your Google Docs account, they're going to give you something called Google Drive. Give you 15 gigs for free. That's pretty cool. And if you wanted to move all your data there, you could put your Word documents, your Excel files, and all that sort of stuff. And for $9.95 a month, you get 1 terabyte. So the price, and that, the 15 gigs tripled recently. It used to be 5 gigs for free. So the cost is plummeting, and the value is skyrocketing. Thank you.
All right, thank you again, Ted. Hey, we bring all these people up here because they actually are important to your business, and we use all this stuff, you know, and it's a virtual world out there. So put it to use. Okay, so I'm gonna, this time, very quickly go through market updates. Usually we spend a little bit more time on this, but Daren, you know, I took a quick look at his slides, and he has, if you're a data nut, he's got a lot of great data, and it's actually so important to look at the data and figure out where we are, what's going on in the market. So I'm going to kind of breeze through this, because I don't want to take away from what Daren's going to talk about. He is going to go into a lot of stuff about like what's happening with distressed properties, what's going on with the economy, things like that. Okay, so one of the key factors to look at is the, you know, what direction is this market going to go? Are we on a rise? Are we going to reach another bubble? You know, are we on the down? Is the affordability index. And actually we put Car San Diego up there, but we've actually got a lot of Southern California on this. And so if you look at, you know, Q1 of 2014 compared to, say, Q1 2013, right now in San Diego, we're at an affordability of 27%. This is basically, you know, the average income in that city for the median priced home, how many people can afford to get into that based on current interest rates and that sort of thing. So how many people can basically afford to buy a house, okay? And it's down 11% from a year ago. So it's becoming less and less affordable. And that's a key indicator. And if you follow people like Bruce Norris, he's got a line that if this goes over, you watch out for. It's just one of the dominoes that can fall when the market's about to pop and you know, free fall in a bubble. And I believe with him it's 17%. You know, that's just one of the indicators. So if you look at Orange County, which isn't even on here, Orange County's like right at 19%. It doesn't necessarily that Orange County's going to go down in a bubble and San Diego's not, San Bernardino's not. If you look at San Bernardino, it's way up at 63. But this is one of the numbers you want to watch. Okay, there's a few dominoes. Okay, so looking at median sales price, interesting. I mean, we just had a huge run-up in the increase of median sales price in San Diego. And 2012 through 2013 is pretty phenomenal. I think we can all agree, we feel it's started to level off, maybe even come down. You talk to real estate agents that are involved in a lot of inventory, feet on the ground, it seems to have really changed, feels like overnight, right? And people are starting to ask on the retail side, asking sellers, maybe you might want to lower your price a little in certain sectors. Okay, and if you kind of look at where this is right now, you can slide over. Median sales price is up right about where it was in 2005, mid-2005, so we've really gotten right back up to where we used to be, pretty close to. That's kind of phenomenal. All right, so this is just numbers of sales, and you can see the cycles in there. You see the seasonal cycles. I mean, they repeat like, you know, it's almost looking, you know, like at a heartbeat, you know, same time. But let's see, we do have a pointer on this thing, right? Okay. Kind of interesting that we've all noticed a slowdown in sales, right? Yeah, agents are nodding their head, and I was looking at this, we actually had a big slowdown. If you look at the stats, it almost looks like we had a little bubble pop, right? If you go back over here, you know, and you see this big drop in the number of sales, that's right when the market crashed. Here we are, you know, 2006 going into 2007, we had a big drop. Okay, I mean, we've come back up since then, and we're still trying to feel that. But yeah, something happened out there. We all felt it. Okay, so this is a report that comes from California Association of Realtors, CAR, and For me, I'm going to present this to you, take it for what it is. It's kind of a little bit of a sort of for me, kind of maybe a comic relief moment, okay, how they make their projections. Okay, so we'll slide over here for these people. And we're looking at things like, single family sales. It looks like it's getting rosier, percent change, and median price has been going up. We've all been seeing that. It's interesting, they're saying interest rates going into 2015 are going to change to 5.3. But basically, they're telling us not to worry. Don't worry, there's going to be an increase in sales in 2015, and there's going to be an increase in price, median home price. I don't exactly say why they think that, but it seems to say that every year. It's always, this is their slide, so it's marked in red. So they made it rosy, right? Everything's rosy to them. But that's their prediction. Just looking at, again, median price, you can see their prediction. It has been going up, and they predict that it's going to continue to go up, not at the same rate. And volume about the same. And this is for people that like these numbers. I'm not going to sit here and try and interpret them for you right now. People who just are interested in numbers. We'll let Daren do some interpretation for you. Okay, so this is a U.S. economic outlook. So we're looking at things like gross domestic product, GDP. They predict it's going to go up from 1.9 to 3%. You've got job growth, they're saying is going up. Unemployment coming down overall to 6% is the prediction. Consumer price index, which is another kind of indicator of inflation, really, changing there up to 2.3%. Real disposable income. Why they're saying that we're going to go from less than 1% to suddenly over 3%? That's quite a prediction. So they're saying that's going to triple. Very interesting. And here we just put this down here, the U.S. inflation rate as of June 2014, what it was at. So if you kind of average out the last few years of disposable income and how it's been, the rate it's been changing at, it's not really quite keeping pace with the average rate of inflation. It's only 0.03% below. So people really aren't keeping up. That's why you want to be a real estate investor or some kind of investor. Okay, these are basically the same stats for California. Okay. They're making a very similar predictions for California. Interest rates. So we're at 4.25% for a 30-year fixed. Again, kind of segue though. This is another interesting thing with the market right now. Again, the agents and the investors in the room that are actually trying to sell inventory, right? On the retail side. Have you noticed it's taking longer to sell a house? It's harder to sell a house? I know I have. I mean, we've got several houses on, I think we've got 4 up on the MLS now and another 4 or 5 behind that we're finishing rehabs on, ready to come to market. And it's looking a little shaky, and the prices that we projected that we were going to put these on the market, we're thinking that we're going to come down. The ones that are on the market, we're actually starting to lower the prices a little bit. But are you still getting a lot of buyers looking at the houses? Yes and no, yes and no. Yeah, so a lot of nods, some people know, but we feel like they're still coming through and they're looking at it, but nobody's doing anything, nobody's pulling the trigger. Yeah. And one of the things is like the interest rates went up like an 8 or quarter, and now it's like oh my God, 4.25%. You hearing them complain about 4.25%? Yeah. So the buyers all think the market's about to crash, and the sellers think it's still going up. So we've got this confusion. I went to a broker meeting, and there's all the North County brokers, a bunch of North County brokers, earlier this week. And Jared Phillips is one of the ones there, if you know him, and that was the term he used, it's perfect. The market just seems to be really confused right now. It's perfect. Interesting what's going on. Okay, this is a new segment that we're introducing. We're just a mindset segment. We're going to take a little blurb from an author or a speaker, and we're not going to review a whole book. But just put something out there. Just kind of owner mindset. It's something that anybody in the business, self-employed, especially going into investing, you have to constantly work on it. You know, we do. And then when things aren't going right, we realize we kind of left it and get back to it. So Daryl and I are both rereading this book now for the third and fourth time, Think and Grow Rich. It's one, if you haven't read, you should definitely read it. If you have read it, read it again. There's a lot of great stuff in it by Napoleon Hill. So I'm going to paraphrase most of this. Okay. One of the quotes out of there, paraphrase, everyone wishes for riches, but wishing will not bring them. It is going to be kind of focused around money because it's Think and Grow Rich. So it's going to be on the money, money gets a dream, right? Lots of things. All right. Things that do and will bring your riches and your dreams is not wishes, but you need to have a strong desire, okay? And with that desire, then you got to get into the right mindset. With that mindset, you got to bring in the planning. And with the proper planning, then you have to be persistent and you have to be consistent and keep doing that. Bring that together, then you can achieve. Okay, so directly out of Think and Grow Rich, there's 6 definite practical actions that Napoleon talks about. One is determine the exact amount of money you desire. You've got to have something out there. You don't want to have this sort of general, mysterious, well, you need something motivating. Okay, now you need to decide what you're going to give up in return. You don't get something for nothing, so you're going to put energy, you're going to put time, you maybe put money up front, you're going to put something into it. So decide what you're willing to give in return. You need to set a definite date, right? You need to motivate yourself. This can't be whenever, this has to be at this period, right? Okay, create a definite plan and then implement it immediately. And there's another book out there called Millionaire Real Estate Investor that talks about this. What a lot of people do is that they'll put together a plan, they'll get these grand ideas, and then they'll just do a little bit, and they'll take the baby steps. And say, you don't have time for that, you got one life, okay? Go big, make big plans, get big systems, have big dreams, and go for it. Go see what you can do it now, okay? Write it all down. Write it all down, don't have it in your head. You want to be able to look at this and read this. And when you do write it all down, read it twice a day. Read it when you get up in the morning, so you have it with you when you go through the day. Read it before you retire at night, so that it's in you and it gets into your subconscious when you dream. So as you read, you want to see, you want to feel, and we highlight this, believe yourself already in possession. In this case, it's a direct quote from Napoleon Hill. You see the money, right? Okay? So, but whatever your dream is, whatever your passion is, we're attaching money to it here. But belief is an interesting thing. Belief, I think, is more important than anything. Okay? And it's so easy to have the energy and have the strong beliefs when everything's going well, right? We feel on top of the world, we feel in charge, we're doing everything. But belief becomes very important when it becomes challenged. I guarantee it will become challenged over and over again. We've all been there over and over again. When your beliefs are challenged, that's when we start to doubt ourselves, that's when the fear comes in, that's when we all believe like we're going to be found out, that we're not really this person, but we're really this other one, that we regrets, right? The little child comes out. So that's when you want to really get that belief system back and hold on to it and not regress into anything. And when things are going well, there's another dangerous culprit out there with beliefs. That's being comfortable. Okay, don't get comfortable. We've been there too. Things are going well. You're achieving, you're making money, you're doing whatever, relationships are going very well, and you start to take it for granted, and we don't pay attention to the things that we need to pay attention to keep these things going on. So really focus on your belief and hold on to it. When things are going bad, when they're going good, keep that consistency. That's just in wrong part. Okay, real life deal examples. So we usually have other people come up here and do a deal profile, but we didn't have anybody come up this time, so we're going to do one of our own. All right. And I'm going to let Daryl take over and run through.
Well, sure. Well, this is a deal we picked up a little while ago, actually. This one was on Souter Street up in, was it Paris? Yep. I think it's Paris. You know where Paris is? I didn't.
Not
a while ago. Yeah, not friends, though. This is in the middle of Riverside County. I was gonna say nowhere, but Riverside County is a place. But the numbers on this are fantastic. So we couldn't pass this deal up. This was brought to us by a phone call. We sent our letters out, our marketing letters. She called, she was in distress. We listened to everything that she had to say. And from listening carefully, we came up with an action plan to help her out, gave her a few choices. And she ended up deciding to work with us because we got her out of her bad situation. So, oh, I'm sorry, this is in heaven, not Paris. Close enough. Very next door. Oh, was Paris? Oh, I wrote it down now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Apologies. But we did choose a property because we knew it had potential to make money bottom line. And we're also able to help the homeowner. And really, that's what this business is about. It's not about what I can get out of it. It's how I can help other people out of their situation. If they like you, they're going to work with you. If you can help them, they're going to sign contracts with you. So it was a distressed sale. We saw it had great numbers. It was a great rental market. I think it was $1,400 a month in rents in this area. And it was priced well at $75,000. We were willing to pay the $75,000. So we got under contract. We saw that the ARV was about $175,000. We got about $40,000 worth of work. And lo and behold, there was more problems than she told us there was. Of course, this usually happens with these distressed sellers. So after renegotiating, because there's a lot of things that we had to pay for in order to help the situation. So after all said and done, we renegotiated the price. We got it for $55,000. After paying fees, after helping the tenants move out, after paying cash for keys, we cleared multiple files on title, city fines. We ended up paying the $75,000. So we were still willing to pay the $75,000. After we showed her that there was $20,000 worth of stuff to do, she was willing to take this $55,000 because now she didn't have to deal with those headaches. Those headaches are gone. They're now our problem. So paid cash for it. This is the front of the house, boarded up, all the windows are gone. The inside of the house, it's basically cosmetic, but everything in the house needs fixed. So our rough numbers, $40,000 to rehab this house. Paint, carpet, flooring, cabinets, you name it. So, required rehab, $40,000. When I say purchase price of $99,000, we offered this as a wholesale deal earlier this week. We have too many properties, and we decided that this is one that's out of our area and be a lot for us to take on at this point. So we went ahead and wholesaled this out. We left plenty of room on the back end for the other investor. We wholesaled for $99,000, and the investors put $40,000 into it. Closing costs were about $3,000, so their total investment was only $42,000. When they resell the property, and they may get a little more than $175,000, a little bit conservative on it. They actually paid it at $182,000. I'm saying $175,000. So they're going to make $33,000 on the deal. So who would buy this house? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. For those of you who raised your hand, come talk to me afterwards because we have another wholesale that we're doing that's really close to this one. Really? It's say it again.
Are they going to cash? Are they going to rent it out, or are they going to flip it?
I believe this plan is to flip it. Okay. So for those of you who raised their hand, you guys took immediate action. That's what this business takes. Take action. So now, for those of you who didn't raise your hand, if you're wondering maybe I should have raised my hand, you can still come talk to me. That's okay. We'll tell you about the other deal too.
It's in Marietta.
The other one is in Marietta. So it's closer than Paris. People have heard of Marietta. It's a little better place.
Do you have commissions worked into that number?
No commissions. And the reason we don't put commissions into it, because I don't know if you guys would work with commissions. We buy and sell houses without using other agents. Let me rephrase. We usually sell without using other agents. When other agents bring us deals, their commissions worked into the buy price when we buy it.
Yeah, and we may, if an agent brings us a house, we put that agent on the resale, but this is one that we did all the work, all the marketing came directly through us, so there's no agent attached.
No agent attached to it, and I was just saying that if there is agents that do bring us houses, we'll work with them on having them relist the house for us after we're done as well.
Question, what do you usually pay the agents that bring you
What do we usually pay people? They get their, whatever's working on the front end, and then we have a tiered system on the back end. So it starts out at 1% and can go up to 3%. So, and any agents interested can talk to me. We'll talk about that. So basically, final thoughts, take massive action. Raise your hand. And this is something we learned a long time ago. The answer is always yes to any deal until I change my mind. So get it under contract, do what you have to do for due diligence, and then if you decide it's not a good deal, you get it. Don't give up on a deal. This actually took quite a while. By the time, I think all said and done, it was 2.5, 3 months we were working on this thing. But it worked out for
It
everybody.
wasn't even a short sale.
Yeah, it wasn't a short selling. We usually do most of our deals with short sales as well. So we found this to be almost as difficult as a short selling. But build your network, that's why you guys are here. Educate yourself, read books, and develop yourself, personal development. Think outside the box, and success is inevitable as long as you don't give up. So that's the deal profile. And if you guys want to share, if you guys have a deal that you've recently done or have done in the past, and you guys want to come up on stage and share it, I'm sure everybody here would love to hear your deals as well. So contact us and come up here and share it. So that brings us to Mr. Daren Blomquist. And he's married, he's got 3 kids. His goal actually is to, by the time his kids get old enough to go to college, he wants to own 1 house for each child, free and clear, and that's going to put them through college. And I think he's on track to do that as well. So he's the vice president of RealtyTrac, and you guys might want to understand what RealtyTrac is. RealtyTrac is real estate data. It's a tracking site, and it gives information for us investors. He's been with RealtyTrac since 2001, right? And he also publishes weekly reports, and he's in charge of the monthly newsletter that goes out as well. So again, overall, it helps investors, like all of us in the room, understand trends in the marketplace so we can make better decisions on our real estate investments. So let's give a warm welcome for Mr. Daren Blomquist.
Okay, can you guys hear me? Is it on? Okay. All right. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. It's great to see so much interest in real estate investing. I've heard of you guys a lot. I don't think I've ever been down here. I was trying to remember, but I think some other folks from RealtyTrac have been down here. So what am I doing wrong? Okay. How many of you have heard of RealtyTrac? A lot of you. How many of you are subscribers to RealtyTrac? Great. I'm not going to sell you RealtyTrac today. We're going to talk about, but I do have a special offer for a subscription to RealtyTrac that I'll mention at the end. And yes, I wasn't talking for a long time before this, and didn't realize my voice was a little hoarse. But we're going to really just dive into some data, what we're seeing. Imran did some great stuff earlier. We actually I didn't have time to put this in the slide, but we did our own affordability report that we just issued today, and I think that's it. Digging into those numbers, it's really one of those key indicators to tell you where we are, because we're getting more and more of those questions. Are we going to see another bubble? Are we at another bubble? So take a sip. And what we're seeing, if you go to, I don't have any slides on this, but if you go to realtytrac.com/content, realtytrac.com with a C at the end /content, the main story right now is on that affordability report, and this is all a free part of the website. You can go in and see, we actually have, you can go in and see that we have thousands, you can pick your county, so you can pick San Diego County and see what's happening there. We have data for thousands of counties across the country. But I was just looking before I got up at San Diego County, and where a lot of Southern California is right, what we did is we looked at affordability as a percentage of median income needed to
to make payments on a median priced house in each market. And most of Southern California is right back to their historic averages for that percentage. We went back to 2000 and took month by month, 14 years of that average affordability percentage. And San Diego and most of the other counties in Southern California are right, actually just a little bit below their historic averages for affordability. But the way that Southern California works from living here now since 2001 is that things tend to overshoot. So we're right on the edge. My best guess is it's not going to just get to that affordability percentage and stay static, but it's going to overshoot, just like we overshot several years ago, and we overshot on the downside in the last 5 years. So that's what we're seeing. For more details on that, go to realtytrac.com/content. But yeah, it was, right now it's about, on average in Southern California, people spend more of their income to buy a house. It's around 30 to 35%. And nationwide, it's only 19%. So if you want to move to Columbus, Ohio, or something like that, you're spending a lot. You just accept the fact that you're going to spend a lot less money on your house because you're living in Columbus rather than San Diego. But during the bubble, we saw, and I'm sorry if I'm shouting here, during the bubble, we saw a place like San Diego was closer to 60, 65%, just crazy that people were somehow willing to and it's because there was no tie between their income and what they were paying. They didn't have to document their income, so they could pay whatever they wanted, get a loan for whatever they wanted. Anyway, so that's affordability, and I do think it is a key indicator that we're getting close to that equilibrium, and there's probably some runway still left before the bubble pops again. But we can kind of start to see one of those dominoes getting close to falling. So anyway, and I have a lot of slides here, and this is smaller than I was anticipating. So if you want these slides, I believe the investment club is going to make them available on its website. But also you can grab my card, and I'm happy to send you the slides as well. So I'm going to start big, and then we're going to hone down, and we're going to end, and we're going to start with trends, and then I want to talk about just using real estate data to help find those deals. And we actually did what I think as a data geek is a really exciting analysis recently of what combination of distress, what flags on a property do you want to look for that will get you the best deal. I mean, of course, foreclosure is one of those, but we'll talk about other flags. And we did an analysis of the last 12 months of sales, and scientifically, rather than just saying, okay, we think this is the way it should be, what actually sold what's proven to sell based on the property characteristics and the distress characteristics, what's proven to sell at the biggest discount. And we did that state by state. It's different in each state. So anyway, I won't reveal too much of that, but we're going to start with trends. Sales, nationwide, 4.9. We're getting our sales from sales deed data, not the MLS, just so you know, methodology. 4.9 million property sales annualized in June. So that's based on the June numbers. It'll be 4.9 million for the year. That's down 1% from the previous month, down 5% from a year ago, and that's big. We've now been seeing 8 consecutive months of declining sales volume. And this is the issue a lot of agents talk about when I talk to agents and brokers across the country, and I'm sure it's probably true here, that there's not a lot of inventory. Maybe that's changing. You're nodding your head, but and this in California we've been seeing a similar thing. Sales volume is down, actually 16% from a year ago. It's pretty big, and I don't think that's necessarily a sign that the market is crashing or it's a sign of a lack of demand. It's more of a lack of supply. And then in San Diego County specifically, it's 40,000. Again, that's annualized. That's not in 1 month. Based on the sales in June, it's annualized at 40,000, down 4% from the previous month. also down 16% in the area. So we're seeing fewer sales. That's one of the big picture pieces we're seeing. And then prices, and this is something someone mentioned earlier, maybe it was Imran, about do you see, are we seeing the slowing in home price appreciation? And the agents on the ground are probably seeing this before we see it in our data, but we're definitely seeing a slowdown. And this is in California. We saw a 16% annualized home price appreciation in June. And that's great. 16% year-over-year increase in your home price. I'm enjoying that with my house. But that is the idea. We were seeing basically twice that, 31% year-over-year price appreciation. So we're getting back down to more rational, normal numbers. The question is, how far is that going to go down, right? Yes. And by the way, yeah, you guys feel free to ask questions so I can talk about what you're interested in.
I can cheat because I have a microphone. But yeah, it seems to be kind of very localized, like area specific. Just talking about North County and inventory, for instance, one thing we've noticed is that inventory is pretty much double since from what it was in the beginning of the year. So we were in the 40, 45, now we're up to like 90, for sales in coastal North County. So stuff's starting to sit there.
Yeah. Yeah, I can observe that on my street.
I'm curious on that, that was because there was a lack of supply, but prices are going well. Why do you think the lack of supply? Appreciation.
He said that the public was a lack of supply, but then you'd expect that the San Diego home price trend would go up, not down.
Yeah.
Why do you believe that is?
Well, I think one of the reasons is affordability. People are running into that ceiling of affordability.
So demographics.
Yeah, yeah. And I had a really amazing, important point I was going to make, just slipped my mind. But people were getting to a point, and I'll touch on this later, but it's equity too. I mean, supply, I think, is loosening up because now we are seeing, I'm going to give away with something later on, but in many parts of coastal California, it's single-digit negative equity. The percentage of homeowners who still have negative equity is single-digit. A couple of years ago, it was 30–40% of homeowners have negative equity. So there's many more people who regain that equity in their home, and so they're listing their home on the market. So it is, supply, I think, is loosening up. Our numbers, because the sales data is a little bit lagging, so it's not showing that yet. But the supply is loosening up. Demand, I think, is still there, but there's the affordability constraint that actually matters now because people have to be able to afford what they're buying. And so, yeah, this is San Diego, 11%. We're showing home price appreciation. This is across the whole county.
Do you think it's a different type of buyer?
Well, yeah. So are we just getting different regimes of buyer?
Well, the question, we're talking about
Answer my question.
the Dodd-Frank and QM program changed the rules.
Yeah.
So when that went into effect, it's kind of what, if you look at the numbers, they kind of follow right along with Dodd-Frank and the QM program.
Yeah, that went into effect in January, so some of those rules. And again, affordability actually matters now, unlike the last run-up. And so I think there's much more chance that things are going to behave rationally, and home prices will not continue to go up. And yeah, we have a question.
I'm hearing more and more that the inventory the banks have of the foreclosure homes are, the inventory the banks have of the foreclosure homes, that they're about to let some more of those out and begin to flood the market somewhat.
That's happening, yeah.
That's happening right now, right?
Well,
Yeah,
I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves because you do have some slides.
I have something on that,
All right.
So you guys know this is great. No, and people have been saying that for years, and I don't know, especially in California, there's not this huge supply shadow inventory sitting out there that we can see. but certainly there is some of it there. And the homeowner bill of rights in California is certainly, when we look at our numbers, I had a great slide that's not here, but when that homeowner bill of rights, are you guys familiar with that, took effect in January 2013, that gave homeowners a lot more protection against improper foreclosure. We saw the foreclosure numbers were already going down, but they fell off a cliff in January 2013, and so there's, in our minds, no question that there's some pent-up distress in there that hasn't come through. I mean, I'll use my street as an example, but there was a house that was in, and I'm sure you guys have examples like this too, that the notice of default was filed in 2010. The homeowners fought it until 2013. It became an REO. And I was tracking this on RealtyTrac, this sort of thing you can do to find out what happened behind the scenes. But then they stayed in the house. They refused to leave. They finally got evicted in 2014. It hasn't been listed. There's a sign on the window that says, you know, this agent has this property. So that's it's been 4 years since that person got in trouble. So there's some of those out there. I don't want to disabuse you to the notion that there's this huge, massive wave of, we don't see that in the numbers of shadow inventory, but it's certainly out there. And I'll have some numbers to prove that in a second. But yeah, San Diego appreciation is going down. It's cut in half from a year ago in terms of it's still going up, but cut in half.
If you guys have questions, raise your hand and I'll get the mic over to you guys. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Hold on.
Oh yeah, Mike, wait for the mic. And this is foreclosure activity while you're waiting for the mic nationwide, where foreclosures at their lowest level since 2006.
Do you think that the difference in buyers right now is due to mortgages being more difficult for them to get? I mean, DTIs have increased, the government FHA loans, they've increased. I mean,
Yeah.
do you think that that's what's affecting?
Absolutely.
Even though the buyers are out there, they're not really investing or buying property.
It's harder to get a loan. And now the new director of the FHFA, Mel Watt, has come in with a little, his first major speech that he gave was, we need to loosen credit. So he seems to have a little more softer stance toward that, and I think we're going to see some evidence of that. Although, I mean, it's a balancing act. I was looking at, there was a jump in foreclosure rates of loans originated in 2014, which is somewhat weird because of all that, but anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple of comments. It is a different buyer now because there's fewer investors. You know, we had like a third of the buys were all cash and mostly all investors, you know, just a couple of years ago in San Diego. Now that's really cut down. So I mean, that would have had, you know, an effect on the run up. So we are seeing a different buyer. It's a more normal buyer, like you said. And then the loans, yeah, a lot of agents are seeing this. We're biting our nails even when we get the funding. Because loans are falling out like 2 days before escrow is supposed to close. I mean, more often than you're typical. So it's a weird kind of process going on right now.
Yeah, we're transitioning from a recovery market to trying to become a grown-up normal market, and there's some growing pains. We got a request from Mike. The good news is we're at the lowest level when you look at public foreclosure notices since 2006, before the bubble burst, the last bubble burst. California's the same way, lowest level since June 2006 for public foreclosure notices. Yes, sir.
I heard QN over here. What is that exactly? I know I've heard QE, which is quantitative easing, but what is QN?
They always qualified mortgage. So if banks don't want to keep the loans on their books, they have to meet the standards of a qualified mortgage set by the Dodd-Frank bill, which created this new bureaucracy called the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And many of the rules that resulted from that took effect in January of this year. And so that's, many of the banks, I believe, were already really adopting those in practice, but now they have to adopt those. And the DTI, someone mentioned, I believe is 40, the line is 43% debt to income ratio that's the main thing for a qualified mortgage. And then on the lender side, there's things, the lenders are probably more concerned about it than the borrowers in some ways because of the fees and points associated with the loan are limited to meet the standards for a qualified mortgage. So really all it is, it's making lending more tighter and harder to get.
And you can't exceed the income ratio when you're in escrow on a loan.
Well, that depends on who you're lending to. There are lenders that are out there that will exceed that 43%. There are lenders out there that will bypass foreclosures, repos, short sales, and will be able to get your loan funded very quickly. It's just a matter of, especially with real estate agents, whoever your lenders are, you want to make sure that those lenders have access to more than just, 3 mortgage companies, especially if you're dealing with your major banks. Your major banks often are the ones that start getting your properties.
So yeah, there are some, the 43% can be fudged a little bit. I'm not an expert in mortgage lending, but that's, in essence, I think that is definitely contributing to the different kind of buyers that we've seen. San Diego specifically, the foreclosure activity, and we're looking at notices of default, scheduled foreclosure auctions, and REOs. And they're still around, but they're really getting back. And I do want that homeowner bill of rights I talked about earlier, that happened right about here, January 2013. So obviously foreclosures were already going down, but there was a 60% drop between December 2012 and January 2013, and it's really never rebounded from that. So that's a concern for us if there is some pent-up inventory because of that dramatic drop and not a recovery. So not everywhere, and you guys may have heard of this, and I won't spend too much time on this because California is not on the slide, but there are states that are still dealing with the foreclosure crisis. Massachusetts, if you want to go find foreclosures there, although they have their own issues. Their foreclosure starts are up 105% there in June from a year ago. New Jersey, Nevada is all over the place. I don't know if you guys are familiar with what's going on there, but because of changing laws. And so a lot of these, most of these are what's called judicial states where the process to foreclose takes a lot longer. Because of that, they have taken a lot longer to get through the foreclosure problem and are still even dealing with it now. And then here's my big reveal with someone talking about REOs. We are seeing some signs that there's REOs coming back in California. There's other states where it's a bigger increase, but this is in June. We saw an 18% increase in REOs from a year ago. And this is not REOs listed, this is REOs, properties actually being repossessed by the bank, the actual deed transferring, reconveying the property to the bank is what we're tracking. And this is, an 18% increase in 1 month is not necessarily something to write home about, but it is the third consecutive month where we've seen an increase, and that was following about 3 years of decreases in REO. So we saw this long-term trend, and then it turned around in the last 3 months. San Diego, similarly, not quite, it's not been 3 months, it's been 2 months now. The bars represent year-over-year increase or decrease. So I went back to January 2013, but since January 2013, we've been seeing consistent double-digit decreases in REO activity. And then in the last, 2 months ago, we saw a 1% decrease, and then 2 months of double-digit increases. And we're actually putting out our July foreclosure report next week, and I glanced at the numbers, and it is going to be a third month of increases in San Diego REOs for July. But don't tell anybody because that report's not coming out next week.
How did foreclosures go down and REOs go up?
Good question. How do foreclosures go down and REOs go up? I use the word foreclosure loosely, and I apologize, I shouldn't do that with this audience. The slide I showed before is, if we go back a couple, is overall foreclosure activity. This is including notices of default and notices of auction. Those are still down. which is, so this is indicative of not another kind of wave of people getting into trouble, but people who have been in trouble for a long time. The REOs, the final stage of foreclosure, that segment of the foreclosure process is going up, while the other two pieces are going down.
So it's fair to say that we're working through a foreclosure act.
Right. Yeah, this is, I mean, I think it's good news that we're not seeing notices of default go up. That's probably more indicative that people are getting into trouble again, and we're not seeing that. We're seeing people who are, like my neighbor, who was in trouble for 4 years, actually get foreclosed on. And that ties into the average days to foreclose. Some of those states we saw a couple slides ago that are continuing to see increases in foreclosure starts, not the REOs, are the ones that have this very lengthy foreclosure process. A lot of foreclosures have been deferred. So in New Jersey now has the longest time to foreclose at over 1,000 days, and that's from they don't have a notice of default in New Jersey, but from their initial notice to REO is 1,000 days, and New York is second. Texas is the fastest, not surprisingly maybe. They lack the more laissez-faire attitude in Texas, and California is kind of right in the middle. So, but California's worked through the foreclosures a lot faster than some of those other states. Florida is also up here, over 900 days to foreclose. And then looking at distressed sales, so we've been looking at new foreclosure activity. This is when the properties that are distressed actually sell. That's down, although I would say it's still stubbornly high. There's still a lot of leftover distress, and this is nationwide. It's still over 10% of properties that are either in foreclosure or bank-owned that are selling. Short sales are definitely going down faster. This is nationwide short sales, as fewer people have negative equity and need to do short sales. They're at the lowest level since September 2012 in May. And then the one thing that we're seeing is auctions, and we're not seeing it in San Diego, but in other parts of the country, the sales at the foreclosure auction, I don't think we're seeing it in San Diego. I might have a slide on that, but are going up actually. And this has to do with some of those big institutional investors going to the auctions, finding a good place to buy properties in places like Atlanta and Florida, where the price points are a little bit cheaper. How many of you guys do you guys purchase at the foreclosure auction? A couple of you, not too many.
Don't purchase at the auction, but we track it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're seeing an uptick. A little bit in San Diego, Riverside County definitely a little bit more. It's not phenomenal, but I mean, it was nothing, and now it's gone up again.
Yeah. These are actually sales to investors at the auction as opposed to going back to the bank. And we see Miami's a hot spot for that, Atlanta, Chicago, Tampa. Las Vegas is up there, but there's no California cities on this in terms of the most auction sales in to investors in 2014. Bank-owned sales have been kind of steady Eddie. They've been stubbornly high, or not high, but stubbornly in that 10%, 9 to 10% range of all sales that are occurring nationwide in the market. This is the San Diego picture, distress sales going down. That little green, I don't know if you guys can even see it, the little green at the top are those auction sales. They're a pretty small sliver of the market. REO sales are still about 10% of the market, and short sales have been going down pretty dramatically. That's what we're showing now. Okay, so getting to negative equity, which we talked about a second ago. I stole some of my own thunder, but a lot fewer people have negative equity. Still a lot of people, 9.1 million homeowners nationwide, 17% of all homeowners with a mortgage have negative equity. And so the one thing is, if those people don't have, if they see home price appreciation start to slow, that could be a motivator for them not to continue making that mortgage payment. The vast majority of them are not distressed. They're continuing to make that mortgage payment, but it's still a large chunk of people. But it's down. A year ago, 26% of all homeowners had negative equity, and now it's down to 17% nationwide. An interesting little side note on this that I think is pretty relevant to you guys is that and this is nationwide, I'll get into the local numbers in a second, 34% of all homeowners in foreclosure have some positive equity. May not be a lot of positive equity, but some positive equity, which is really interesting. So why can't they avoid foreclosure where, well, they have probably some other distress going on? But as an investor, and correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is that's a great opportunity for you. You know, this is getting back to the days pre-housing bubble burst where there's something to work with that owner. They're in distress, but they have equity, so you have some equity to work with. 1/3 of all homeowners, I think a lot of them don't even know it. They don't realize their home value has gone up. And I'll talk about that in a second in terms of identifying those homeowners. California, it's a lower because prices have come up here, bounced back faster. 13% are underwater, seriously underwater, down from 25% a year ago. But then 47% of all California homeowners who are in foreclosure, who have that notice of default filed or scheduled for auction, actually have some positive equity in their homes. And we work with agents and investors who will reach out to those homeowners and let them know that they actually have some options to sell their home, not have to do a short sale. And then in San Diego, 63,000 homeowners, which may sound like a lot, are still underwater, but that's only 9%, single digits of negative equity of all homeowners with a mortgage. It's down from 21% a year ago, so it's come down dramatically thanks to those rapidly rising home prices. And then an even bigger percentage, 53% of homeowners in foreclosure in San Diego County, this is county, have some positive equity, so something to work with there. How deeply underwater are these homeowners in San Diego County? These are the combined loan to value, average combined loan to value. So you can see some of the markets where people are in a little bit deeper. Rancho Santa Fe stands out. 259, I mean, that's crazy. There's Del Mar, the average LTV, and this is the subset of people who are underwater. So it's not everybody, it's just those people who are underwater. How deeply underwater are they? Del Mar, 202%, or 202 LTV. Encinitas, the same. Lemon Grove, 207. The county is a little bit lower, 174. California is 181, and the U.S. is 188.
What does that mean?
So it means that your loan is 200. It's for the 200%. The loan is 200% of what the value of the home is. If you're 100%, if you're 100% LTV, that means that your home is worth the same amount as what you owe. Yeah. Wow. So there's some people that are pretty deeply underwater that it's going to take them years to get out, even with the home price appreciation we've been seeing. So that's not going to go away overnight.
So, sorry.
That's okay.
So in Encinitas, the homes are worth pretty much twice.
Yes. Yeah. That's not everybody. Yeah. Don't want to cause an alarm here.
The people underwater, for example, if it's 202%, then they owe twice.
Yeah. So if their home is worth 100,000, or excuse me, they owe 200,000.
It doesn't average like some might be like 1%, some might be like 500%.
Yeah, this is an average.
So some are a lot less, and some are a lot more.
Yeah, this is an average. Cash sales, I wanted to touch on that. You guys mentioned in your deal that was a cash purchase. We're seeing a lot of those. This got a lot of attention when we put this out a couple months ago. How high a percentage of cash sales are in the market, not just Now, actually, California is a little bit lower. There's other places where it's much higher, but that's because of the problem, in part because of the problems with getting a loan that we talked about earlier. Cash has been driving this market recovery, and this is by city in San Diego. La Jolla has the most, 52%, and this is for the first quarter of 2014. Coronado, 51% of all residential sales, cash sales. And so the question is, the cash is going to run out. Not everybody can pay in cash. Is the market going to be able to transition from that recovery mode where a lot of investors coming in paying cash to one where you have the normal buyers who are coming in and getting financing? 43% nationwide of sales are cash. It's 33% in California, and then a little bit lower in San Diego. And some of the higher price market, San Diego is considered a higher price market compared to the rest of the country. The cash sales are a little bit lower because you have fewer of those big investors coming in, buying up hundreds, thousands of properties as rentals. And that's actually this slide. The green bars are the institutional investors, we call them, who are buying at least those hundreds or thousands of properties as single-family rentals, single-family homes. And they've started to trend down where there was a surge in that after Warren Buffett said he would do it back in 2012. And some big Wall Street hedge funds got into the game. The blue line is the cash sales. They really spiked as those folks got involved, and then also as interest rates went up near the end of 2013. And that's nationwide. Touch on institutional investors really quick. It's not well, tell me, have you guys encountered any of these institutional investors that you're competing with? Raise of hands, there's one or two, okay. So we don't see it as prevalent in this market as other markets, but they're out there for sure. Blackstone is one of them. They're called also Invitation Homes. American Homes for Rent is another one. Colony Capital, Waypoint Homes, who are buying these homes as rentals and in large volumes. They represented about 5.6% of the market in the first quarter. That's coming down, but they are moving more to lower price markets in the middle of the country. Where they've started to pull out, we're seeing even a more dramatic drawback in home price appreciation. And then, I mentioned the Midwest. Places like Columbus, Ohio, a lot of Texas markets are going into to buy properties because they're cheaper and they can cash flow them as rentals.
I might say with the institutional investors as it's kind of like, the lone wolf investors. We purposely don't play in the same inventory groups that they play in, right? So they're going after stuff that's MLS. They're the ones going to the auctions.
Yes.
That's why we don't do that. So we tend to get in front of people that sell to us because they've got us eyeball to eyeball and can tell us about an institutional investor. So they're out there. We just stay away from them.
Yeah. We are showing the numbers. I'll show in a second. The numbers are very low in San Diego. They're looking for their prime target is a home that's $150,000, which can't. I guess you can find those in Paris, but not as much in San Diego. So these are some of the names. Just to look. They go by a lot of different LLCs. But here's IH3 in Georgia, Invitation Homes, American Homes for Rent. This is just pulling straight out of our public record data. Some of the big names in that space. But we are showing there, I'll skip over the slide because it's, I guess I'm doing it right now. Just looking at what cash buyers on average are buying below the full market value of the property. This is nationwide. These institutional investors, again, as you can see, they're going for that lower price point, a little bit lower price point. They're buying on average at $128,000 on properties that after repair value would be $156,000. So they're not looking for a big discount necessarily. They're looking to rent the property. That's what they're going off of. And there's less competition in Southern California. All of the top markets for these institutional investors. Atlanta is the hot spot. Memphis, Omaha, Jacksonville, Florida, Charlotte, North Carolina, Phoenix. You have Dallas, Tampa, Columbus, Ohio, Las Vegas in there. But no Southern California markets or California markets at all. And we're showing actually just 2.5% of all sales in California went to what we would identify as the institutional investors. In San Diego was less than 1%, so, and this is San Diego County specifically. A year ago it was actually much higher, it was 5.8%, so it's come down dramatically as prices have gone up. If you do want to follow where these institutional guys are going and go outside of the market, this is where they're going. Go outside of the Southern California market. San Francisco is a bit of an anomaly. We saw an uptick there, but Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Austin, Rockford, Illinois, Orlando, Omaha, Milwaukee, those type of places are where they're really focusing on. They get cheaper inventory. This is the percentage of sales represented by institutional investors and by county. And they do influence home prices in Phoenix, as we've actually seen them drop off in Phoenix. Or I believe they influence prices. This could be more of what's going on. But coincidentally, as we see them drop off the blue line in their share of sales, we see home price appreciation drop off as well. And Columbus, Ohio, as they start to spike in the percentage of sales, we see home price appreciation jumping as well. So there's some concern that they're influencing the market. There's conspiracy theorists out there, that they're influencing the market, creating a bubble type of thing. I don't totally buy into that, but they are influencing sales. Home flipping, this is just showing there's a lot of variation in home flipping. It's up and down. I don't think it shows too much, but we are seeing flipping come down in general and this is in different markets across the country, as there's less of that spread that someone's talking about. Are you guys doing less flipping or are you doing more? Or the same?
We're doing the same. And what I'm seeing, I've been asking this question, like, people that we run our marketing campaigns through, a lot of other investors might use them, and I've been grilling them, like, how many other people, what are our competitors doing, who's also marketing? We don't want them going live in the same place. And the playing field is really clear. So there are a lot of, I think newbies and one-bees and out-of-towners and whatever coming in to flip houses in San Diego and Riverside County and around here when things were hot, right? And we know a lot of them got in trouble. And I think the institutional investors did affect them because they were overpaying for properties. I mean, they're working with, billion-dollar funds. They're just gobbling this stuff up, giving it up. And folks were getting into this, I just need to buy a house. So they got a lot of investors, other investors that overbid, go after property, and now they cleared out. So that's really what's happening. I think it's I like it. A lot of people are kind of scared of this market. I can feel it. But it's taking out a lot of competition. So if you know what you're doing, or you take your time and you learn what to do, or you hook up with people that know what they're doing, it's just like agents that have gone through a couple of cycles, investors that have gone through a couple of cycles. Those are the ones that are hanging around that know how to adapt. So I think there are folks that are still flipping like crazy, but there's like 2 of them instead of 200 of them. Right?
We have a question.
How do you define flippers when you're
Yes, good
Is
question.
it 6 months?
What's that?
Is it 6 months?
It is 6 months, actually. Some people tell us, well, you should go to 12 months. What do you guys think?
Well, yeah, because that's going to skew your data, because 6 months is a good timeline, but when the market slows down a little bit, you might still have flippers, but taking them 12 months to sell your model.
Yeah, we're looking at a same house that has 2 transactions within 6 months. So I would say we're conservative in saying the number of flips. Not surprisingly, most of the flips are in the 100,000 to 300,000 range.
So the flipping, I do this. So when the prices went up, I would keep it for a year and a half. Now I keep it for 4 weeks, 6 weeks. So the flipping is not fixed number.
Yeah, it varies. That's a good point. So you're saying it's faster now?
Do you follow rental rates? I think in San Diego, where I noticed this, it's my impression that they're speeding up in San Diego.
Rental rates. Yes, I haven't looked as deeply into those, but yeah, in general, we're seeing those go up. Not as quickly, we don't have as good a rental data, honestly, as the home price data, but they're not going up as quickly as the home prices.
Another question.
Okay.
Darren, just real quick. So just going back a second there, you know, with these institutional investors taking, hundreds of thousands of homes, and you're saying that you don't totally agree with this conspiracy thing, but what's going to happen when these guys start to unload this stuff? And these guys, all these people bought homes, and just, what is the thoughts on that?
It's certainly, if they behave irresponsibly, it could have
they're institutional investors.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't count on them to behave how you want them to. So that's definitely something to be aware of. Similar to the banks with the REOs, though, if they flood the market with them, it's going to they're shooting themselves in the foot to do that.
Yeah.
But they have said they're going to, some of them are in it for the long term, others have just outright say they're in it for a 3 to 5 year window. And then after that, they're
approaching here shortly.
Yeah, if you started in 2012, most of it started in mid-2012.
So here's a little thing about the institutional investors, these big mega hedge funds. Who are they? Who's running them, right? It's not their money.
Yeah.
So they're not as careful. They don't care as much. They're short term. They're very short-sighted on their goals, right? Because they've got an interest rate, they got a return that they've got to give to this money. So they get this pile of money that all of a sudden they've got to pay this return on, and they haven't bought houses yet. So what are they going to do? They're just going to go out there and gobble up everything. I see them as future customers, a lot of them. Yeah. And look at unload it somehow. And you look at where these guys came from, and there were some hot shots on Wall Street that drove their investors down into the dirt. And now they're running these hedge funds to buy these houses.
Yeah, and it has some of the, you're saying earmarks as the whole mortgage-backed security thing.
Yeah, and not all of them, but you see some of these hedge funds implode because of,
Even the people that work for the hedge funds, they have no loyalty. They're sitting there and they're saying, how can I get involved? I don't care about his money. How can I make money in this market? So there's no loyalty there with these hedge funds as well. So they don't really care. They're just in it for themselves.
Yeah. And they further remove themselves by some of them creating derivatives off of it that they're selling now. You can purchase a piece of Blackstone's cash flow rental properties for $20 a share or something like that. And so that does start to further remove what they're doing from actually knowing the property and knowing the market like you guys do when you're investing. And that's dangerous. So it's certainly something to keep an eye on. This is an interesting thing on flipping. We did a study with a company called BuildZoom looking at building permit data. Up to 20, you can spend up to 23% of a house, according to this study, our data, if you spend up to 23% of the property's purchase price in rehab, it's going to get you greater returns, is what this scatter graph is showing. And so, the more you spend on rehab, the more you get in return on investment, up to 23% of the property's original purchase price. So that's an interesting stat, that there is some value in adding more rehab, but up to a certain point, you have a lot of diminishing returns. I'll skip over a few of these because I want to get to the meat of some of the other stuff. San Diego, we're showing, and this is gross ROI because we don't know how much people are spending on rehab. We just know what the purchase price was and what the flip price was when the flipper flipped it. These are just major markets. Pittsburgh, you can get the best return because some of the highly distressed properties there, Philadelphia, Detroit, But we are showing in San Diego and Riverside 35% gross return, not including rehab costs on average. And this was as of the first quarter of this year. Riverside, San Bernardino was actually slightly lower, 34%. In San Diego, the gross return was 100. Between what you purchased the property for and what you sold it for is $120,000, which is a 35% return. Riverside, 34% return on $70,000 on average between those two prices.
You're not taking into consideration rehab.
What's that?
You're not taking into consideration rehab costs.
Correct, yes. Yeah, so we don't know how much you're spending on rehab, but that gives you an idea. Probably, this is rentals. We're showing the annual gross yield, which is simply the annualized rental rate someone was asking about, divided by the purchase price in San Diego County. It is just shy of 6%. So it's not one of the best markets in the country. And this is, of course, averages. I mean, you can find good opportunities within those averages. But if you're looking at markets that are higher, you're looking at more of the, again, the Midwestern markets with the lower entry prices. Places like Franklin County, Ohio, Ramsey County, Minnesota, where it's closer to 10% or more.
Is that like the gross rent multiplier?
It's not the gross rent multiplier, it's just another kind of basic calculation to determine the return on rent, the gross rental yield. No expenses, correct.
That's just gross rent divided by purchase price?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we tried to do some fun studies, places where millennials are going, the younger generation who have a much lower home ownership rate, and so they're more renters among that population, 20 to 34. San Diego made our list for best markets for any millennials because we're seeing an increase in that generation, that age group here. 26% of the population is in that age group, 11% increase from 2007 to 2013. And then we looked at baby boomers as well. San Diego is not on that list. There's fewer baby boomers here. They're moving to lower cost markets. And then I'm going to end with this piece on this analysis we did on the best types of properties to look for. And I'd like to hear your feedback and if this resonates with you too. We looked at millions of sales of properties nationwide over the last 12 months. And this is probably hard to see, but we looked at foreclosure status, we looked at occupancy status, whether the property was vacant or occupied. We looked at year built, we looked at equity, and among those we mixed and matched those factors and came up with 24 different categories of property. And then we said, okay, which category, which combination gives you the best deal when you're looking for a home, looking for that good deal. And what we found is and this is nationwide, and I'll talk about some of the differences in the states in a second, but nationwide, the best combination that sold on average 28.2% below market value was a property that was scheduled for foreclosure auction. It had negative equity. It was vacant, and it was built between 1950 and 1990. So that's what you want to look for. The point is that there's not one magic property necessarily, but you can use data to identify, and especially in a market where there's not a ton of foreclosures, you can find properties that not necessarily are in foreclosure that have some of these other characteristics of distress to pinpoint, to target, even if they're not yet listed on the market. The second biggest was properties with a notice of default that actually had positive equity, which we talked about earlier. And it didn't matter if they were vacant or occupied. and it didn't matter what year they were built, but that combination gave a very good discount as well. And that's a bigger percentage of properties. You see more of those types of properties on the market, at least at this point in time. So among these 24 categories of properties, we did it by state, and there was a different list. They were ordered differently depending on the state that you looked at. This was California, and you probably can't see this very well, but I just showed you the nationwide numbers. In California, the best combination of property to get the biggest discount was property scheduled for foreclosure auction. And this doesn't mean you're buying it at the auction. It means that they're scheduled for auction. My theory on that is the homeowner has a clock ticking before they're going to lose the property. And they do have positive equity. The second biggest in California was people in default who have positive equity. So in California, counter to the national numbers, you actually seems to be better to go after the folks with positive equity rather than negative equity to get the bigger deals, at least in this market. But one of the things that this revealed is not every property in foreclosure is a good deal. Or with other distress on it. The worst deal is properties that aren't in foreclosure that have negative equity. Those are selling at a premium above market. Bank-owned properties, and this is nationwide again, are selling at a premium. Both the ones that are built before 1950 and those that are built at any point. And then properties that are in default, that are underwater and vacant and built, there are newer properties built after 1990, those are also selling at a premium. So you want to watch out. I mean, not just because a property is in foreclosure, just because a property has one sign of distress, doesn't mean that it's automatically a good deal. You want to do your research, figure out what's selling the best deal in your market, and then just don't make assumptions. Make sure you're crunching the numbers for each deal to make sure that it makes sense for you. And then this is different states. You can get deeper discounts in places like New York because of some of the factors there, 39%, Ohio, 34% discounts below market. Because of some of the properties there tend to be a lot older, I believe. California, the biggest discount available was 17%. Now we're using our own numbers, proprietary numbers, to say, based on what the estimated value of this property is after repair value, it's selling 17 below market on average. In California was the best average discount. Is that making sense? So, yeah, does that resonate? Are you guys finding positive equity is a good indicator for you to get a deal, or is it something different?
Yeah,
Positive equity and distress.
Mainly because the distress sales, the notices of default have gone way down, right? So the number of short sales, for instance, have gone way down. So when the investors still in the game are making a big shift and going after equity owners is an area that a lot of folks are finding deals. The big difference is the skill set that you have to bring to the table. So you really have to deal with people. Right? The folks that buy at auction don't have to deal with anybody. They just go there, it's all numbers. And the short sales is kind of in between, but they're really distressed and they're not going to get anything out of the house anyway, right? When short sales are big. Now you got people that have something in the house and you're dealing directly with the person.
Yeah.
So all the data is still out there, but you've got to change your toolbox and your skill set. You really have to do much more with people personally.
I think another indicator you mentioned on the last slide, people that are in notice of default, they're underwater, that are trying to sell their homes, it's got to be bank approved. So the bank has to approve the price. So when homeowners or when buyers are going to buy the properties, it's the bank that's going to tell them what the house should sell for, and they're going to try to get top dollar, of course. So that's why you get premium prices for default underwater homes.
Yeah. Great point.
Daren, are these slides available somewhere?
Yes. Well, you guys tell them, are you
Yeah.
gonna post it somewhere?
Yes, and we'll go to that at the end, but yes, all these slides will be available on meetup.com. Are you guys registered? If you haven't registered, go ahead and go to SanDiegoInvestmentClub.com, register as a member, it's free, and then you'll be able to have access to all the slides.
This is looking at the San Diego market. How many of those, we looked at the top 5 categories of those property profiles, 24 property profiles, and said how many of those are in some of these markets. In Los Angeles, it's 26% of all foreclosures are in those top 5 best deals. In San Diego, 30%. So there's opportunity out there. I mean, you may have to look a little bit harder and dig a little deeper in the data for it, but it's there. The deals are out there. So, and I did want to mention one tool, one kind of very cool tool that you can go and test out on RealtyTrac. Even before, I'm going to give you a quick subscription offer here, but even before you subscribe is if you go to Mega, it's a little bit of a strange name, mega.realtytrac.com. So mega.realtytrac.com. You can go there and play around, and it's a tool that allows you to really more directly access our data. You can select your geography, so you can select San Diego County, you can go down to the zip code level and say, I want to look at all properties that have a notice of default that have positive equity, that were built between this year and this year. There's like 20 different filters you can look at. And you can see how many properties match this criteria. You can look at vacancy as well, vacancy versus occupied. And see how many, even before you pay anything, you can see how many there are in your market. And then if you want to you can download those addresses, and there's a per record cost if you want to, and that becomes a mailing list for you to reach out to the type of properties and homeowners you think you want to target or represent the best opportunities for you. So go try that out, mega.realtytrac.com. We do have a premium subscription that gives you access to that piece of it, plus our interactive website where you can go and do searches and research properties with the nationwide foreclosure data that's updated daily, the default auctions, the property details. We have the outstanding loans and the position of those loans, bankruptcy status. We have, even if a property is not in foreclosure, we have it on our site. If it's not for sale, you can research any property, look at the full tax assessor and deed data, sales history and loan history, property characteristics, value, comparable sales, and this is for 110 million properties nationwide. Foreclosures are only 1.2 million of those 110 million. We have what we call home facts data, school information, crime ratings, sex offenders, former drug labs, the kind of things that maybe people don't like to talk about, but you want to know about if you're buying a property. Environmental information, earthquakes, tornadoes, polluters, all this information, and that's included in this premium subscription. For you guys, it's usually $49.95 a month, which ends up being $599 a year. And this doesn't show up very clearly, but if you go to realtytrac.com /REIC, Real Estate Investment Club, you'll get it. You'll get it for just $249 for the year instead of $599. You can also, I didn't put this on the slide, but I don't have it. There's a phone number you can call. But go to, sorry I don't have it, but feel free to grab my card if you want more information on that, or give me your card. But it's realtytrac.com /REIC, and that'll get you that deal.
What's the difference between you and Property Radar?
We're better. I mean, they do a great job of stuff too. We are nationwide, and a lot of this bottom, everything up here, I know, I think they have a lot of that. This stuff we just added in the last couple of years, and we just inked a deal in March to get a lot more of this data, and that's not just limited to the distress piece, but all properties of 110 million properties, and it's also nationwide.
Yeah, Daren knows that's nationwide. Property radar is not nationwide.
That's right.
Tell them about your GPS system.
GPS, the app?
Yeah.
We have an app. Thank you. So you get it in the app store, and the cool, we have a RealtyTrac app and we have a HomeFax app, and with both of them actually, you can just like be in front of a property, take a picture. The GPS knows where you are, what that property is, and we'll pull up all this type of information on that property.
Question?
So Daren, this is more of a plug for you, but just a testament to these guys, and I don't know him from just tonight, but so I use RealtyTrac. I bought my home in Encinitas in Bloomington for $1 million through this. I found it on foreclosure, and it's appraised recently $1.6 million, and so I'm sold. You give me a discount, it's even better.
Well, we don't give you a discount. We just paid $600,000.
Just want to find out on your offer, is that a one-time, one-year offer that it goes up to $599 in the second year?
I can't guarantee it for the second year. But you have the option. You don't have, it doesn't, you have the option to renew or not renew. I think they usually honor it, the member sales folks do. But this is just for the first year is what I think.
Can I download the data to a spreadsheet?
Yes, through that tool I just mentioned, the Mega.RealtyTrac, which is a piece of the premium subscription too. So you can download the data into script Excel.
How many metropolitan areas do you track?
How many metropolitan areas do you track?
The way I know to answer that is we have data, the foreclosure data in 2,200 counties nationwide. There's 3,100 counties nationwide, and because we get the data at the county level, and those the 2,200 counties where we do have data represent 92% of the U.S. population.
Do you track the rental rates?
We have rental rates on there. Yes.
And how fast is your data compared to let's say, the county data? So if I were to go to the county today, how long would it take for it to go to RealtyTrac?
On average, across the country, it's 7 to 10 days. Now, in a place like California, it's going to be a lot faster, probably 2 to 3 days from when it's recorded to when it's uploaded on our site.
Good question over here.
You showed it on one of the slides earlier that Pittsburgh seems to be getting the best ROI of flipping houses. And I think the margin was quite big from the number 2. Any thoughts or some more information on why that is?
Yeah, in Pittsburgh, there's a huge disparity between the purchase price of those flips and the sale price, is what you're saying. But it appears to me, and I haven't dug into that data a lot, but it appears to me that what's being purchased there are older properties that have a lot more room to add value to them. In a place like Pittsburgh, they're older, but because Pittsburgh's economy is doing very well, if they're able to kind of update them, bring them into the modern era, those properties can sell for a lot more.
You guys track apartments?
Yes, well, we do residential, all types of properties. There is a filter where you can filter for multifamily, apartments of 5 or more units, etc.
Commercial?
Yes, commercial as well. Yeah, it's under the same subscription. It's, that's a good point. Thanks for asking.
Sounds like a fantastic deal.
Great.
All right, is that going to do it?
Thank you very much.
I'll start looking at Pittsburgh too. That's just a long flight to go out there.
Yeah, but you have to go to
Pittsburgh.
Let's think about it. All right.
to everybody here in this room as well. Go ahead and go to SanDiegoInvestmentClub.com. You'll find us on Facebook as well. And again, these are tools for you guys to use. Facebook, of course, is for friends and connecting and communicating. So if you guys got deals that you want to put on there, if you guys are looking for stuff on Facebook and just on there, it's a really good way to go. YouTube as well. If you want to look at some of our past events, some of our past speakers, go to YouTube. We videotape our events, and you can take a look at some of the past speakers. It's great. Let's see. So we were talking about the slides, right? So once you register for under Meetup or go to SanDiegoInvestmentClub.com, under the More tab, there's going to be a drop-down menu, and then you're going to click Files. And then the files are going to be located right in here. So there's a lot of files in there you guys can use. Take a look at.
Yeah, it's more than just the slides. I mean, there's some useful stuff for you in your business.
So take a look there. There's some definitely useful things. Hopefully you guys are going to get an email. 5-star rating would be fantastic. So far, I think we are still 5 stars. So let's keep it up.
We appreciate your vote.
We do. And then again, we're going to be networking back in the bar. So come talk to us, come say hi, and meet each other as well. Yeah. Oh, besides our club, yes, there are other clubs, and I apologize, I didn't mention this earlier. There are a couple other clubs around. I believe they meet on the second and the third Tuesday of each month.
Right, folks, so we have Betty has to stand up and come up here.
So that is the NSDREI, North San Diego Real Estate Investment Association. So.
Hi, my name is Betty Wong. I'm from the North San Diego Real Estate Investor Association. We meet the third Tuesdays of every month at the El Camino Country Club in Oceanside. So on Tuesday, August 19th, our speaker will be Steve Dexter, and he'll be talking about how the rich stay rich, generation after generation, and how you can too. So if you're interested in attending, we hope to see you there. You can register online at nsdrei.org. It's $20 online versus $30 at the door. So hopefully we'll see you there. Thank you.
High quality club, definitely go. Is there anybody from the SDCIA? Bill Penn's Club? Yeah, people know about it. So that's another one that definitely you all should go to. It's down in Mission Valley. The Scotch Rite Center, that one I believe is the second Tuesday of each month. So
that's next week.
So coming this coming Tuesday. And
That's the second Thursday.
They're Tuesdays. Yeah. So we got the third Tuesday for the North County Oceanside. We got the second Tuesday for SDCIA.
We're first Thursday.
And we're first Thursday. So
we make it easy. We're on Thursday.
That's right. Really Thursday club. But yeah, definitely worth going to. So, and I think they're actually talking on note buying this coming Tuesday.
Your question?
We have a San Diego mobile home park group that just started, it's on the third Wednesday.
Mobile home parks, on the third Wednesday. Okay, well, come talk to us about it.
Where's that?
Where's it located?
We're meeting up at the Cardiff by the Sea.
Cardiff by the Sea?
Flat Rock.
Yeah. At a mobile home park?
And you said to find you on meetup.com, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's another great tool, you guys. Check out Meetup. There's a lot of great meetings going on there.
Running the mobile home park investors. So, 70 members, perfect, yeah.
All right, guys, let's get into it.
All right, thanks so much.
Thank you.